Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to School Matters. Yes, that's our new promo. Whoa, after 17 years, changing, our signature tune, many were not pleased. And then when they heard it, they said, Alhamdulillah, the ever-changing times. This is perfect. Thanks to our technician, Zach, and Sister Amina. Fortunately, my guest in studio is somebody who did my very first promo. We did it in a little, a container in the old building with sweat dripping. Time just goes by. Well, alhamdulillah, we all are well and safe. May we all always show gratitude to the Almighty for all that we have. And, remember the less fortunate. Not forgetting to make dua for all in Gaza and all over around the globe who are oppressed and going through hardship. With ever-changing times, new inventions, careers, and fourth industrial revolution, how do one chooses a career, especially the career for them? What is my career? It's not what's hip and hype, but what is for me. Choosing a career path at times may seem like a giant leap, to someone's future college. One that can appear daunting and overwhelming. Students can figure out which directions to take by answering simple questions. Well, let's look at the 10 biggest things to keep in my mind, when looking past college to end or to enter the real world. Your passion, your personality, your goals, your values, your options, your potential salary, yes, your salary, your job prospects and, your outlooks, your educational cost and training, your resources, not forgetting your learning opportunities, all plays a vital role when it comes to choosing your career. It's really important that people tend to take a gap year. Many learners are undecided with thousands of options, Will you choose a career that's right for you or suits you? If you don't have any idea what you want to do right now, I have learners contacting where they can look for an educational psychologist or a career counselor to assist them, even though it's February for 2024. Follow an organized process and you will increase your chance of making a good decision. Sometimes, even after taking a career aptitude test, a career quiz, seeking guidance from a career counselor, sometimes learners still, after completion of their studies, after a year or two of either being unemployed or working, still decide to pursue something else. Our topic this evening is choose your career. Our guest in studio is no first time to School Matters. He is one, I wouldn't say was, but he is instrumental of being the heart, the foundation of School Matters. Well, in my introduction, there is our guest, Daniel Alexandra. If you're an avid listener of School Matters, you'll know he was our regular guest. He was the lovely voice behind the mic when it came for promos and adverts of School Matters. Also someone who's always assisted all the seminars, workshops of School Matters. Not forgetting the many drives we did in the last 15, 16 years when it came to souk time and other occasions when it came to have pledges. You've always been there supporting. Brother Daniel Alexandra, when I first met him, he was an author of the book called Crimson Tears. That's when I first interviewed him. Then he went on to being a motivational speaker, a life coach for youth empowerment. Then he was into business and finance. And not very long ago, I think it was beginning of last year, you were full-time into acting. I've attended your premiere, your opening of the movie. You were here discussing it. So alhamdulillah, you are a jack of all trades. You have been in every career part. Welcome back to School Matters.
I wouldn't say we're full-time into acting. I mean, this has always just been a part-time hobby, but it was nice doing that project.
Well, it felt nice.
I do wish I could do more acting.
Well, you know what, Zach, it felt really nice attending someone the premiere, the opening. I remember it was all excitement, red carpet. For a moment you thought gosh, is this Hollywood?
It was fun.
It was fun, and that was the identity.
It was identity, you're right. Yeah.
So if our listeners Google?
So I didn't produce the movie, so I can't tell you where it is and all those kinds of things. I was just an actor in it, but
you acted well.
Thanks.
I mean, when you think about it, you've been in every.
Well, I'd say I've tried things.
And for this topic, we like to keep it real. You've had every career. Basically.
I wouldn't say that, but I've tried things, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, when you think back of it, did you know that you would kind of like sway from the career or the job that you have done over the last years or so?
No, I suppose, and I mean, that's really what we're here to talk about today. You know, when you're young, it's so easy to have an idea in your head
what you want to do.
Of what you want to do. And so often, where's that idea coming from? Is somebody pushing it onto us? Is it coming from something we've seen on TV? Is it really what we want to do? And we, as a society, we need to start addressing those questions, because life can be tough at times.
Yeah.
Especially if we do follow the wrong path, or we're doing something that we don't really want to be doing. And I suppose that's what we really want to talk about tonight. What career opportunities are available for young people these days? How do you access those? That whole topic.
And I came from totally different, where it was black and white. Once you finished, you have to perform well in school. You need to be successful. You need to fend for yourself. It's either teacher, doctor, lawyer, doctor, teacher.
Yeah, for me it was similar. It was doctor,
Hardcore.
lawyer, accountant, architect, IT.
And apply for a bursary or
Yep.
take a student loan, and you got to fend out in the real world. There's no mommy and daddy really sing to you. You need to sort it out. I mean, the mindset was so different. Our matric exams were so serious. So hardcore.
Yeah, and the thing is, for some people that is important. Some people are academics. They thrive on that kind of thing.
Being an educator, I just feel no one's born really intelligent. It's just how you use your intellect. And sometimes you'll be amazed. You have a learner who performs badly, but then if they really study, you'll be amazed.
Oh yeah, I've met people like that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It just seems like when they're not challenged in whatever subject, they almost just sit there and they're bored, and then something happens, and all of a sudden they've got something to prove, or they want to do it, or they're engaged now, and just off you go. But even still, if you look beyond just the scholastic, just the school stuff and whatever, there's so much other stuff available in the world. We were talking outside, I don't know where I was talking, about the trades and things like that there. So often these days we look down upon guys that work with their hands, plumbers, electricians.
The highest earning salaries right now.
Well, exactly. You are never, everywhere's got pipes. I look around this building, there's pipes. You go to any building, there's pipes everywhere. We didn't have water the last couple of days at my flat. There was a big burst pipe in Florida Road. Pipes everywhere. Somebody's got to go and fix those pipes and bring that water and do all of that kind of thing. I went to Dis-Chem the other day, and there were some electricians there. Something was tripping on one of the fridges, and I chatted to the electrician. I just made a joke with him and whatever. We got to chatting, and he said, "Look, we're never not busy.
Always.
We're never not busy."
But I think our listeners right now must be nodding, because when you phone for an electrician or a plumber, they're never there now. You wait for days or hours, or we're coming, or it's a half job done and we're coming back.
But that's the thing, in a country like, I was listening to the news when we walked in, and there's something like 8 million people unemployed in the country. I don't know if I got that right, but something like that. There's a career that we've often looked down upon: plumbing, electrical, electricians, those kinds of things, all these other trade-related jobs, that those 8 million people, and I know obviously not all of them can go and do that there, but that's a viable career path, instead of everybody aiming for just those doctor, lawyer, accountant, architect.
Do you know, with the way things are going right now, you think about it, for our children or our youth to be able to be responsible, independent, and survive or sustain themselves, to live, to pay their bills, in a nutshell. That's the main priority.
Well, I'd say even before that, it's just to get some kind of employment, because we got a serious problem in this country with unemployment. I'm very grateful that at least our business is doing okay. We're very stable. It really is an enormous blessing in this country to have that. So, I mean, even just to have some kind of stable, steady income. But, again, it's not only that we have these limited number of career paths. You can do the general kind of scholastic thing at the university. You can do the trades. And we can talk more about all the other kind of...
Do you know, it's also the mindset. What do you notice, like, the last couple, I'll say maybe 5 or 6 years, the new trend, a gap year. That word seems like quite famous, like, no, we're taking a gap year.
I think it's so easy to blanket everybody, just, what's that saying? Brush over everybody with the same brush and whatever. So I came up with the saying, you got to match the path to the person. Like I say, some people, they know what they want to do. Something's happened in their life, or they've got some kind of a passion for something, and they want to go and do whatever. Great. Some people don't have that. Some people are struggling to still find themselves. Maybe they need a gap year. And a gap year can be many things, but I think some things that it needs to be is have some kind of structure, have some kind of goal in mind. You can't just sit around and say, hey, I'm going to play video games for a year and then I'll just know what I'm all about.
Well, amazingly, those weeks become months, and those months become more months, and those more months become a year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You need some kind of structure.
Exactly.
And and this again is where experience of parents needs to come in and say, okay, you don't know what you want to do in life? Great. Well, let's come up with a plan together. You're still young. You don't understand this stuff. Let's figure something out. And then even if you go and waiter or something for a couple of months, or go overseas, or, find some kind of temporary, there's a lot of those kinds of programs and things, just to get out there and do something, or an apprenticeship, or the number of career and things to do these days is just enormous.
And on the flip side of it, we have learners who know what they want to become. They really like hardcore, really make those sacrifices. They get all the A's, and they do not get accepted. We discussed this before. And that is when the whole world for them crumbles. Now, how can I do something else when I know I want medicine or go into the medical field? A lot of them branch it off in other ways to go there, and sometimes the journey doesn't even end up the final destination. Because over the years, we interviewed students who had A's but were not accepted at medical school, or did not have funding, and they ended up doing something better, and they felt that they are so much happy if you chat to them maybe like 10 years later or 8 years later. And they say at that time they thought that was the only thing to be successful.
Yeah.
But I think it's also the impression the education system, parents tend to play.
I agree. I think, parents and the education system, they put on a lot onto children that this is the path. You've got to get, you got to get A's. You've got to do well. This is your only path. But there's others.
Daniel, we discussed this before when we had career seminars back in the day. It doesn't mean if you are not an academic, or you're not a teacher, doctor, lawyer, or accountant, or somebody who basically have a diploma degree, you're stupid and dumb and you're not successful. And sometimes lots of parents tend to put that pressure on to study. And when their children don't, they put that pressure on, or they tend to emotionally abuse their children. And this was something which was quite shocking, where a lot of parents wanted to live their career dreams through their children, or continue the family business. Grandfather's a doctor, dad's a doctor, brother, sister, uncle, all of them are doctors. I'm just using the example. Listeners, these are my views and opinions. It could be any profession. Now, you who are into the arts or into something totally different, you are trapped. I have to just do it because it's a family business or a family practice, or I am so-and-so's son and I need to take over. And this happened when we did that one-on-one counseling, and it was shocking because, for parents, the children just kept quiet and wanted to do their own thing, but afraid, they just kept quiet. And there were learners who did maybe 6 years or 7 years of medicine, 1 year in a hospital, or 2 years, and then now they're comedians. How many of them are there? Zach,
I don't know that example, but okay.
How many, if you think about it, there was, I don't want to mention the person's name, but really well-known doctor,
Yeah.
but wanted to be a comedian. And they now, I mean, many years later, they pursued that. And their thing was, you don't have to pursue that career, but have something which pays the bills in the whole pursuit of that there. So you've been an author, motivational speaker, now into property.
Before you get off that, look, the last thing that you said there, I think the important thing is when communicating with your child about what they want to do for the rest of their life, as much as what you have to talk in that in that conversation, you've also got to listen to them. And if they're saying, I don't enjoy medicine, or I don't have this passion for medicine, I know it might be hard as a parent to have to let go of that then, but what is best for the child in that instance?
I think parents also stress because, like, when you think about it, life is such a rush. Everyone is competing, wanting, needing, have to be better, have to be the first. And in that whole essence, humanity is lost, humbleness, people's emotions, feelings, along the way tends to get damaged. And then when did we ever have the youth with such high depression?
Yeah, but I think even if you take, like everything you said there, if you take a step back from that, how did we get to that situation?
Exactly.
And again, that's why I bring up the topic of listening. How often do we sit down with children and actually listen to what they have to say? I'll give you an example. I read a book many years ago. This guy, he went around the world and he went to all the blue zones. The blue zones are where people live long, they're happy, and those kinds of things. And he wanted to go find out, well, what's happening in these places? What are they doing differently? And in one of the Scandinavian countries, I think it was Denmark, but I can't remember. One of the things he noticed there was children as young as 5 were included in family conversations and things like that, specifically about finance and that kind of thing. Whereas here in our country, it's still fairly conservative. To listen to your child and to have them kind of give input about those kinds of things is a taboo for a lot of people. The parents know better. They set the rules. They say the thing. It's done. But there's this clear kind of parallel between doing that with your children or listening to them and getting this happy result out of that.
And like right now, I think probably in weeks to come, or maybe they have already, a lot of first year college students, university, tertiary, going, doing their degrees, diplomas, pursuing what they want to do. It's also a culture shock because, like, they going into a whole new world. Now, if you come from the private schools, you were like, 18, 20 in a class. Now you're going to big auditoriums with maybe 80 to hundreds in a course. Then if you were from maybe from a government sector, more bigger classes, and now finance can be a problem because now when you think about fees, it's a lot, a hell of a lot, and not all our children go to university or colleges.
Well, I think that's what we're trying to say here tonight, that it's not always necessary. There are other options available. And I know I've said trade a couple of times, trade industries. But there's so many other things.
There's so many things. Our regular guest, actually, sometimes a co-host with me, Veronica, I mean, she always says, the artisans, as you said, all the trades. And now when you think about it, and now also when you think about it, careers are changing.
Oh yeah, big time.
I mean, maybe my job, being a teacher, might not be non-existent. I mean, in some places it's online or it's some virtual robotic person. Careers are also dying off.
Well, I think careers are dying off, but new ones are starting up. If you look at what's happened with technology over a long time now, the more that we create different technologies, the more that we add into this world, the more careers that we create. So, and again, I mean, this is, about staying not stuck in, I want to do X forever. You may have to change slightly. You may have to.
And I think parents also need to realize, I think when their kids are like in high school, I wouldn't say matric only, like maybe grade, maybe 9, 10, 11, what are their likes, dislikes, what's their
Absolutely.
passions? You know, if you have a child who loves breaking up things and making things, gadgets and stuff, maybe something to pursue there.
Yeah, well, like you can go into construction. There's oaks that work in construction that have fantastic, they got an amazing career.
Yeah.
That's all about making and breaking things and whatever. You know, so often, you use that example there. And, when a parent sees their child doing that, then it's, they want to reprimand them and that kind of thing. But that, and there's obviously times to do that. But if that's in their nature, you need to guard that into something positive, something creative. And there are creative outlets for that. They're, like we say, construction industry. So it almost doesn't matter what you are inside, who you really are. There's something out there for you, but it might not be the thing. Like you said, if your father's a doctor and your grandfather's a doctor and uncle's a doctor and this one's a doctor and that one's a doctor, maybe you're not going to become the next doctor, but you could become, the next bridge builder or something.
Yeah.
There's something out there for you, but we can't stay stuck.
We are talking about careers. Yes, we are talking about you choosing the right career for you. Hey, you know what, Daniel? People are in their 40s and 50s and still haven't chosen their career yet. They say they're still looking for it.
They still haven't chosen any career.
They still haven't. They say the career for them feels like tiring work. They say if you love what you do, then it doesn't feel like work. That's so true.
Yeah, again, I think it's so easy to fall into the trap of listening to these very nice sounding things, because there's another guy that I watch, an American guy. His name's Mark Rowe, I think, and he does that show, Dirty Jobs.
Yeah.
And he says he's got a different perspective. You've got to learn to love what you're doing, and that seems to me a lot more sustainable.
Do you know? We are definitely old school, because that's how we've been schooled. You need to learn what you do. It's like making rotis. You ever tried cooking? I know you cooking a lot. You have to
But I can't cook roti. I don't know how to cook roti.
But you make lovely curries.
I think so.
Yes,
I think so, sure.
Yeah, Zach, he makes lovely curries. You see, Zach too is also busy there with the healthy food. You check him eating his healthy food out there. So basically, it's like you perfect the art. And then you learn to embrace it and
yeah, you got to learn to embrace it. It's so easy to get into this trap of everybody must be in some fantastic career. We're all going to be pop singers like Britney Spears. And
if you ask a child in primary school, 8 out of 10 boys will tell you they want to be a soccer player.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 8 out of 10 boys say they want to be Britney Spears. Thank goodness they want to be soccer players.
No, you never know. And
yes, times are changing. Times are changing.
Times are changing. And you know what? Being an educator in the government sector, everyone's fully aware of the Bella bill and this and that. Times are changing. Sometimes we have to bite our tongue. Now, has that parent or that educator, I tell them, so how many boys do you think? I said, there are millions and millions of 11-year-olds who want to be a soccer player. But how many are chosen?
Only a handful. But I think at that age, though, we don't want to just destroy the dreams, because reality starts to kick in a little bit later.
There's a message which I received. When my child now is 24 years old, currently unemployed. When he was in primary school, going into high school, the hype was going to play soccer for a posh club to be accepted and eventually go to America and be there and come back. He fulfilled his dreams. We raised money from church to community, in the Sydenham community. We sent him to America. He played in Europe, in Mauritius, and the journey ended when he had to come back home, and he's currently unemployed at 24 years old. My advice to all parents, that is really nice, but please instill that your child pursue an education first. Right now, my child could be probably completing his studies or first year working and earning an income. Well, this comes from a parent. That's a trend. I know lots of parents for soccer clubs, they want to raise money, and it goes up if they're going to Europe. I mean, come on, euros, it's lots of money. And sometimes parents also need to be advised. The hype sounds so lovely,
It does.
Yeah, there's...
That's what I say. I mean, everybody wants to be the fancy pop star, and all those careers that are very easy to love. But I don't think that that's the secret. The secret is to learn to love what you're doing. Whether you're an accountant, whether you are a plumber, whether you are a radio DJ or a technician behind the screens and the various, here's another job, that people can do that. I didn't know that this existed. To make all of this work here, somebody's got to be sitting behind this desk and he's pushing the buttons.
I always say this on every show of mine because listeners don't know. And now things are so different. Okay, maybe I'm still like old school and one of the old presenters where we still produce and present our own shows, and we're still going around looking for that professional guest, and when we get them like you, we hold on to them. But times have changed where presenters have producers who produce their shows. They just come here and read from scripts.
Yeah.
And then we have our technician, a sound tech. He's really great. Like Zach is one of them. They choose what suits your show.
Yeah.
But again, the listeners don't do that. So it's a whole team that makes your presentation and your show successful.
Well, that was one of the things that I learned, kind of growing up. Because like I said, when I was in school, I knew the big four.
Yeah.
Accountant, doctor, lawyer, architect. That's what you do. And then as I started going into the real world, I started learning about heaps and heaps of careers. Even I worked for a job and we did various work at shopping centers. You have no idea how many people actually work in a shopping center. I'm not saying that work in the stores and the retail, that are employed by the shopping center, by Pavilion, by Gateway.
Yeah.
There is heaps of stuff going on in there. But again, it's not specifically, I'm not talking specifically about that industry. Yeah. I'm talking about, we don't know how much is actually available out there. It's more than what we realize.
And with our country being where youth unemployment is so high, we had the doctors, the professionals, they were on striking not very long ago.
I don't know about that. Can you tell me more?
Well, they were on strike because doctors, qualified doctors, Zach, are unemployed in KZN.
Sure, shame, man.
And it was shocking because I know everyone knows the teachers go on strike.
Yeah.
But, government teachers. But to have government doctors unemployed, you spent, hundreds of thousands for your studies.
Shame.
You have spent so many years, almost 2 degrees if you look at the time, and plus you're unemployed. So our country is lacking that. But then again, we're also a vast nation of skills.
Yep.
As you mentioned. And that can be used. We just need to have our leaders and those who are willing to, give back to the community, just to guide, to create employment, to create income.
Well, I think I like what you said about, just guidance, because, that's something that any parent can do for their child is give them some guidance, which I don't think a lot of people actually do receive, I can speak from my experience.
Yeah.
I didn't receive much guidance. I chose to do what I did because a college came round to school one day and said, hey, if you study this, you can have a job. There we go. But I received no actual guidance from somebody who was in my corner and that could tell me. I'll give you an example. I was working at a job and we went, I don't know, for whatever reason, we went to UKZN Westville.
Yeah.
And we had to go and talk to the head of the maths department there. I don't know what we were doing there, but anyway, me and this other guy, and we both loved maths when we were in school. But when I was in school, I thought to myself, what do you do with maths? What job do you do? Because I was good at maths.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what do you do if you study maths? This is a waste of time. And when we spoke to this guy, he said there are thousands of jobs. For people that are mathematicians. But that's knowledge that I didn't have at the time. That's something that I was good at, that I was passionate about, and all that kind of thing. That's, I just couldn't pursue because I didn't have somebody telling me, hey, let's go find out, what can we do? I like what you said, just guidance. Seems so often that's just lacking in our society.
And then when you think about it, like lots of us, like you had to study to be successful. Parents who, like, they instilled it, they had a hard life and you need to study to sustain. And sometimes, if you look at our country, it's 30 years almost apartheid?
It's 30 years this year.
30 years. And for a lot of people, like education was education is the gateway, you know. But it's also how we use it.
Yeah.
How it's used.
I'll give you an example of, I'm not trying to say anything negative about education, but like I said, you've got to match the path to the person. But I'll give you an example of, I know a married couple. The husband, he doesn't have a degree. The wife, everybody else in the family's got a degree. And the highest earner is the husband, the one with the least education. So a degree or some kind of formal tertiary education is not the thing that is going to make you money. You still have to go and apply whatever you've learned and do, and there's heaps of other skills that you need to actually become successful. Ability to communicate, ability to take risks.
People skills.
People skills. Thing with money is you make money with other people. You cannot make money on your own. You have to have an ability to sell something, consult, do something, so you can be the best at whatever it is that you're doing. But if you can't walk into a job interview and show somebody that I am the kind of person that you can work with, and yes, show your worth, all of that education is not worth anything.
Do you know, Daniel, at this very moment, lots of 2023, not only 2023, but since they finished their grade 12, lots of learners never make it.
Sure.
Lots of learners never get the results to go to study what they wanted to. They rewrote. We don't know whether they made it. Parents, what advice you got to those learners? I mean, what you're touching on, that not everyone is for academics.
Well, I'd say explore what else is available. I know the one that's easy that comes to mind is, trade, but there's also creative things. There's all sorts of, various vocational programs. There are other things around for people that don't fit into the traditional scholastic. I'll give you an example of, and everybody's got an example like this, but actually this guy that I was talking about now, he told me the story. It's somebody that he knew. He went to school, he did poorly, he did terribly. His teachers told him, you're going to be a nothing forever and whatever. But he had the gift. He had all the friends, and he could chirp, and he could this and whatever. And sometime later, and he was still young, he met this guy. He was importing mattresses or something like that. And he said to him, can I buy a couple off you? And then he went and he resold them. And he just carried on doing this. He bought mattresses from this guy and he resold them. And he was buying such a big volume from this guy. He was making bombs of money. The guy that he was buying from, he said, I have to stop selling to you because you're actually doing better than me. So he didn't have traditional scholastic education. What he had was the ability to talk, to make business, to interact with people. He had those kind of people skills. And you see that with a lot of people that do well in business. Now, again, I'm not saying that you should aim to do poorly in school, but it's not what do they say? A nail in your coffin. Think about this is something that I've thought about before. When you leave varsity, if you pass, everybody gets the same piece of paper. It all says degree. Now, who's realistically going to do better in the world? The guy that he sat every Friday, every Saturday, he studied. He left varsity. He didn't make it all the way to summa cum laude. So he wasn't the number one, the number two. He's in the pack. He's in the middle. But he got the 90%. But he's got no real friends. He doesn't build connections well. That's that guy. Then you got the other guy that he was a bit more moderate. He went out. He went to the jowl. He made friends. He partied. He's coming out of university with the same degree. He just skidded through. He just made it through.
There.
He just made it through the pass, but he got his degree, got his piece of paper, but he's got hundreds of friends. Who's realistically going to do better in the real world? It's the second guy, because you find jobs with people, you build businesses with people, you make money with people. There's a very small number of people that do well in the real world because they are right at the top scholastically. Everybody else, you need the wider range of skills.
True. And that's so important because, again, not everyone is cut out for academics. And parents, when it comes to choosing a career, just try to assist. Messages are coming up that we have to prove to our families and our social circle that our kids are doing really well. Well, I have another message here. Parents need to guide their kids and, be their support and motivators so that their kids pursue their own dreams and not fulfill their parents' dreams. It's a sad reality that nowadays that still happens. This comes from Miss Hassan. Right.
Read the first one again, the one you just read.
Parents, that one.
No, read it.
Parents need to guide their kids and be their support and motivators so that the kids pursue their own dreams and not fulfill their parents' dreams.
And the one before that?
It's a sad reality. Well, there's a whole lot of messages here.
No, you just
what
read
was the other
two of
one
them.
about? Yeah, that was from another. Look at the spot.
Oh, you got too many there.
What was the other one?
Oh, no, I wanted you to remind me because I wanted to say something about it.
Zach, we're getting old. Can you remind us?
No, it's fine.
No, but there's lots of messages coming up where, yes, parents also need... yes. The other message, let's see if I can quickly find it here. But that message I just read was where parents need to tell their family that my child is doing this and their social circle.
That's so often the thing that... I had a lot of that in school, where parents want to be so proud of their children that they put all this pressure on that. And then when you go to family, when you go, woo, look at how well he did, woo, and it's all this fluffing up and this harp of all of this stuff here and whatever, where it's not all about that. Then when you get out into the real world, there's so much more than that, but it puts so much extra pressure on you and it almost sticks you in a box that you are now this thing here. And I think what's frustrating for me with that kind of thing is, especially when it happens within families, your family is your support structure, your base, all of those things. But so often we're just trying to outdo one another and play these pretend games and things like that.
But so Shakespeare's saying, was it Shakespeare?
You tell me.
You know the saying.
I don't know that saying. No, you say what saying you want to say.
What is it?
What saying?
It's a stage.
All the world's a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but how sad though.
So it's been happening from then.
Yeah, you make a good point. But how sad though, because we all put on this mask, this pretense, and especially in these places that are supposed to be safe, within our family structure.
Going a little bit diverting off the topic, there's something that's so relevant. We need to teach our children to be humble. You show know what's humanity.
Sure.
Show what's empathy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are driving, just say down a certain road where there's lots of entertainment, or even in a mall where children hang in, someone will fall and drop. How many children will run to help? They just look, oh shame, in their minds, back onto their phone. Where does that come from? Well, what is it?
Yeah, I don't know. But I do agree with you that
it has changed.
Yeah, I do agree with you. We're not instilling those kinds of just kind of basic values and morals. You see it on the road as well. Almost every day I see people driving through red robots. I think we've lost the kind of respect for law and order. And it's not everybody, but it is, what they say, fish rots from the head.
Always fish rots from the head.
We've got a government that's often not doing the right thing. And this is just my opinion.
But when you think about it, everything is about I, me.
Yeah.
Moving up. It's about it. It's never about the people. When you think of our leaders back in the day, it was always them working behind the scenes, pushing everyone forward. But now it's with social media. Whoa, it's always about them.
Yeah, social media. There's so much media and communication about social media, and both the negative and the positive impact. For me personally, I think the overall impact of social media is negative. People's ability to be narcissistic is amplified.
Just be humble, just be kind. The circle of life still has to go around.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier about, people that tend to do well in the world. And I know some people abuse this skill. Some people are good with people and they use that to manipulate people.
We need to teach, one tends to judge you by your financial status, by your material things, by your resources. Life isn't about that. It's about, you can still be very lonely. So we need to teach that skill. That's lacking. That empathy bit is lacking. someone told me this about like a week ago. Why only want to celebrate with me, but also want to cry with me and mourn with me? Where were everybody when I was mourning?
Yeah.
But then now everybody wants to celebrate with me. But that's life. How people are changing. I mean, times are changing. Everyone is becoming selfish.
I agree
it's about,
with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say everybody, but I do agree with you that there's a trend to.
It's moving in that
I used to have some friends some time ago, and it was the same kind of thing. You know, if I said to them, "Hey, should I just come to your house on Friday night? We sit around and, we play some games or talk, play some poker. Just something simple and basic. Nah, I don't want to do that there. Let's go to the jail. Like we're all going to go to the jail and pick up chicks and we all, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't happen like that. It's again, this facade.
Know what? To the listeners out there, the WhatsApp screens are going on because I think School Matters is relating to the youth today. These are our views and opinions. But that's so true. That is so true what you're saying. And so load shedding is a blessing in disguise, huh? You're getting to reconnect with your family. You're getting to eat, not with your phone.
You say that, and I know somebody that he's actually an electrician, and they put up solar panels, so they don't have to have, they got battery into the whole thing, so they don't have to have load shedding. But his wife said, there are certain things I want them to go off when the load shedding happens, because that gives us an opportunity as a family to talk. The TV goes off, the games go, everything goes off, and the
motherboard shuts off.
Yeah. So then the family has got this forced time to actually do something, and I thought that was really clever, because they've got the equipment to not have the load shedding. But they're choosing to say, we want some downtime.
Daniel, advice to our listeners out there, or our youth who never make it or never get accepted or just want to be successful in some career. Advice before we round off.
I think, just to reiterate the things that we already spoke about, there are more paths available than what we realize. We don't have to get stuck into just those 4 or 5 careers. It's going to take a bit of seeking. You might have to phone some people, check some, whatever your information gathering method is. But there is a lot of stuff available out there.
Well, I'd like you to come again, pop in. You're always welcome.
Sure.
Well, you've been with School Matters forever, and all the best in your journey. Hopefully you'll come back with another career on your
I hope not.
Back. Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and just keeping it real. That's what everyone loves about Daniel. You keep it real. You say it the way it is. I'd also like to thank our technician because he's been nodding. He's definitely enjoyed this evening's show. My email address is samayakhan@outlook.com. Choose a job you love and you will never have to work in a day in your life. Opportunities don't happen. You create them. Prevent, from people that attempt to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do this, but the really great cause you feel is, that's you. Just be simple, and you can become brave. Assalamu alaikum.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah.